Hey everyone, welcome back to Midnight Recaps. Imagine answering a phone that isn't even connected, only to discover the voices on the other end belong to children who were murdered in the very room you're trapped in. Tonight's nightmare is The Black Phone, 2022. The film opened in Denver, Colorado in 1978 during a Little League baseball game. Young Finney Blake is pitching while his younger sister Gwen cheers him on from the sidelines. Finney throws two perfect strikes, but on the final pitch, another player named Bruce Yamada smashes the ball for a game-winning home run. Even though Finney loses the game, Bruce encourages him and compliments his strong pitching arm. Later that day, Bruce rides his bicycle through the neighborhood, greeting friends as he goes. As he continues down the road, a black van slowly approaches him, and Bruce is never seen again. Finney and Gwen live with their father, who has become an abusive alcoholic after the death of their mother. She took her own life years earlier, leaving the family broken. On their way to school the next morning, the siblings notice missing person flyers for Bruce posted around the neighborhood. As they continue walking, they come across a crowd of students watching a fight. The school bully, Moose, is picking on another student named Robin Ariano. To everyone's surprise, Robin easily defeats Moose, leaving him badly beaten. Finney feels uncomfortable watching the fight and asks Gwen to leave. As they walk away, Gwen mentions the rumors about a mysterious kidnapper known only as the Grabber. At school, Finney becomes the target of three bullies inside the restroom. Before things get worse, Robin steps in and scares the bullies away. He tells Finney that he needs to learn how to stand up for himself instead of always taking the abuse. Around the same time, two detectives arrive at the school to question Gwen. She has been having strange dreams that seem connected to the missing children, but she doesn't fully understand what the visions mean. The following morning, Finney wakes up to hear his father violently beating Gwen. The detectives had visited his workplace because of Gwen's claims, and he blames her for bringing attention to the family. Furious, Gwen smashes one of his liquor bottles, which only causes him to hit her even harder. Their father insists that her dreams are meaningless. He explains that their mother also claimed to have visions before her death, and he refuses to believe the same thing is happening again. After the beating, Gwen sits with Finney in front of the television while they quietly comfort each other. Not long afterward, Robin is walking home alone when he also crosses paths with a black van. Soon after, the police announce that Robin has disappeared as well, making him another victim of the Grabber. News of Robin's disappearance spreads quickly throughout the neighborhood, leaving parents even more frightened. The next day at school, the same group of bullies attacks Finney again. This time, Gwen jumps in to protect her brother by hitting one of the boys in the head with a rock, causing him to bleed. She is kicked in the face while the other boys continue beating Finney. Later during science class, Finney is paired with his crush, Donna, who tells him she feels sorry for everything he's been going through. After school, Finney and Gwen separate to walk home. While Finney is alone, he notices a black van parked nearby. The driver pretends that he accidentally dropped his groceries and asks Finney for help, as Finn notices several black balloons inside the van. Before he can react, the man attacks him, sprays a chemical into his mouth, and knocks him unconscious before throwing him into the vehicle. When Finney wakes up, he finds himself locked inside a small basement. After the Grabber leaves, he searches every corner of the room but can't find a way out. The only window is too high to reach, and there is an old black telephone hanging on the wall. Oddly, the phone isn't connected to anything. Meanwhile, Gwen receives a call from her father and learns that Finney has disappeared. Back in the basement, Finney suddenly hears the black phone make a strange sound. Before he can investigate further, the Grabber enters the room. He tells Finney the phone hasn't worked since he was a child. Finney threatens to scream for help, but the Grabber calmly explains that the basement is completely soundproof, so no one outside will hear him. Finney accuses him of murdering the other missing children, but the Grabber denies it. He claims he would never force Finney to do anything against his will before telling him to stay away from the phone and leaving the room. After he's gone, Finney tries screaming anyway, but just as the Grabber said, nobody hears him. A short time later, the disconnected phone suddenly begins to ring. Finney answers it and hears a strange voice. Startled, he immediately hangs up and backs away. The phone rings again. This time, the voice introduces itself as Bruce. Although Bruce doesn't remember everything, he recognizes Finney from the baseball game and reminds him that he has a great pitching arm. Before the call ends, Bruce tells Finney about a loose floor tile that can be removed so he can start digging underneath the basement floor. Following the instructions, Finney begins digging and secretly flushes the loose dirt down the toilet to avoid attracting attention. Elsewhere, Gwen has another vivid dream. This vision shows moments from Bruce's childhood and his love for baseball. Afterward, her father opens up about her mother, explaining that she also believed her dreams were real visions. He fears Gwen is following the same path that eventually led to her mother's death. Later, the grabber brings Finney eggs and a bottle of Sprite. He assures him that the food hasn't been poisoned. Before leaving, he intentionally leaves the basement door unlocked. As Finney prepares to make a run for it, the black phone rings once again. This time, the caller is Billy, a local paperboy who had also gone missing. Billy warns Finney that the unlocked door is a trap. According to him, the grabber is waiting upstairs with a belt, hoping Finney will try to escape. Realizing it's too dangerous, Finney closes the door and quietly eats his meal. Not long afterward, Billy calls a second time. He tells Finney that he hid an electrical cable inside a crack beneath one of the basement walls. Finney finds it, ties it to a rolled-up carpet, and uses it to climb toward the window. He manages to reach the bars, but his weight pulls them completely out of the wall, causing him to fall back down. The failed escape leaves him right back where he started. Around the same time, Gwen experiences another dream, this one showing Billy delivering newspapers with his dog shortly before the grabber kidnapped him. Meanwhile, the detectives continue investigating the disappearances. Their search leads them to a man named Max, who has become obsessed with solving the case on his own. He tells the detectives that he is temporarily staying with his brother while conducting his own investigation. Later, the grabber returns with more food and finally asks Finney his name. When Finney lies instead of telling the truth, the grabber becomes annoyed, throws the food onto the floor, and tosses him a newspaper reporting that he has officially been declared missing. As the grabber leaves, he once again keeps the basement door unlocked. Finney slowly walks toward it. Just before he reaches the door, the black phone rings again. This time, nobody speaks. The scene then reveals the grabber sitting silently upstairs with a belt in his hands, waiting to see if Finney will walk into the trap. While waiting for the phone to ring again, Finney suddenly sees the ghost of another missing boy named Griffin. He points toward the black phone before telling Finney about a combination lock upstairs. Griffin explains that the grabber likes to play a twisted game with his victims called Naughty Boy. Before he died, Griffin had written down numbers for the lock, but he can no longer remember the exact combination. Later that night, while the grabber is asleep, Finney quietly sneaks upstairs and starts trying every combination Griffin mentioned. After several attempts, the front door finally unlocks. Samson starts barking, waking the grabber. Finney rushes outside and sprints down the street, but the grabber catches him before he can get very far. Finney screams for help, causing nearby houses to switch on their lights. The grabber threatens to kill him if he makes another sound. After the lights go back out, the grabber drags Finney back into the basement. Later, the phone rings again. This time, Finney hears the voice of Vance Hopper, another one of the grabber's victims. At the same time, Gwen experiences another flashback shows Vance at an arcade where he fought with two kids after one of them messed with his high score. He was arrested shortly after. In the flashback, Gwen finds herself alongside Vance, who is talking to Finney through the police radio, but Finney cannot hear Gwen calling out to him. They end up at a house, where Gwen tries to remember the number. Vance tells Finney to break through the wall behind the basement toilet. According to him, there's a large walk-in freezer on the other side. Using the porcelain toilet lid, Finney slowly breaks through the drywall until he reaches the freezer. He climbs inside, hoping it leads outside, but quickly realizes the freezer door can only be opened from the outside. His latest escape attempt has failed. Feeling hopeless, Finney breaks down in tears. Soon afterward, the phone rings one last time. It's Robin. Unlike the others, Robin remembers everything. He reminds Finney that they've always been friends and tells him this is finally the moment to stop being afraid. Robin instructs him to fill the phone receiver with dirt to make it heavier and practice swinging it like a weapon. Before ending the call, Robin gives Finney one final piece of advice. Stand up for yourself and beat the grabber. Meanwhile, Gwen continues following the clues from her dreams. As she rides through the neighborhood, she's suddenly spooked by the ghosts of the missing boys, causing her to fall to the ground. When she gets back on her feet, she looks up and realizes she's standing right in front of the exact house she saw in her vision, with the same house number. She rushes home, contacts the detectives, and leads them straight to the address. At the same time, Max finally pieces everything together. He realizes the missing children have been held inside the very house where he's been staying because the grabber is actually his own brother. Max rushes downstairs and discovers Finney locked in the basement. Before he can help him escape, the grabber suddenly appears and kills Max with an axe to the head. The grabber goes after Finney to finish things once and for all. But Finney is ready. Using everything the ghost boys taught him, he puts his escape plan into action. As the grabber charges toward him, he stretches the hidden cable across the floor and crashes into the hole, badly breaking his ankle against the exposed window bars. Finney immediately grabs the dirt-filled phone receiver and repeatedly strikes the grabber with it. During the struggle, Finney tears off the grabber's mask, exposing his face for the first time. Finally, Finney wraps the long phone cord tightly around the grabber's neck and pulls with all his strength. At that exact moment, the black phone rings one final time. The voices of the grabber's victims speak through the receiver one last time, as Finney forces the grabber to hear the voices of his victims taunting him over his demise. Then Finney snaps his neck, ending his reign of terror for good. Finney grabs a frozen steak from the freezer and throws it to Samson, keeping the dog distracted long for him to escape. Meanwhile, Gwen arrives with the detectives at the house from her vision. She confirms it's the right place, and the officers search every room. Eventually, they discover a basement. But instead of finding Finney, they uncover the buried bodies of the 5 missing boys. Moments later, Finney unlocks the front door and walks outside into the sunlight. Gwen sees her brother alive and immediately runs over to hug him. They soon realize they've searched the wrong house. The real basement where Finney was being held is actually across the street. After everything is over, their father breaks down in tears and sincerely apologizes to both of his children for the way he treated them. Sometime later, Finney returns to school as a completely different person. His classmates now respect him, and even the bullies stay out of his way. When he sits beside Donna in science class, she greets him as Finney. With a smile, he simply replies, "Call me Finn." That's the end of tonight's recap. What did you think of this movie? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. If you're craving another terrifying story, tap the video on your screen right now. Trust me, you don't want to miss this one.